Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. By putting America first, President Trump has brought terrorists to justice, which is also providing a greater chance for peace and prosperity in the Middle East. Joining me is a national conservative leader and the former U.S. ambassador to the UN Commission on Human Rights, Ken Blackwell. Ken, thank you so much for being with us today.
Laura, it's good to be with you again.
All right, so President Trump just issued a warning to Iranian leaders not to kill their own people and voiced his support for those protesting the regime. What is your reaction to what we've seen happen over there?
Well, for 40 years, the religious extremists in Iran have not only been a force of evil globally, they've had their collective foot on the necks of Iranians there in Iran. And so what the president is basically saying is that human rights are universal. The dignity of the individual is something that the United States has always advocated and has always been a force of support for. And so he was just sending a message that was purely an American message. But as you know, in global affairs, people measure a couple of things. They measure your word and your will. If they see that you don't have a strong will, or if they see that your behavior doesn't match your words, or your threat is not followed up by action, they will take advantage of you.
That's right.
This president has taken that off the table. He's basically showed a coherence in his speaking and a uniformity in his will and our collective behavior as a force for good in the world.
Yeah, I think so many people see the stark contrast between this president and the way he operates within a space like this. Contrast that with the former president and the previous administration who drew the red line in the sand, and it didn't matter. They stepped all over it. Not this president. Nobody's pushing America around now. And listen, this president is doing things that need to get done. I want to know from your perspective, how does the unrest in Iran prove that the president's actions to bring terrorists to justice, which finally, was long overdue, especially in this recent case, but how can this provide a greater chance for peace and prosperity in the Middle East?
Just by being a voice of support, the president is doing a boatload of good. Look, this president has basically said that with our resources, we can do just about anything. We just can't do everything. So he's brought a focus to what we will do and how we will do it. There is a connectedness between the president's America, put America first philosophy and his ability to have an impact in the Middle East and in Iran specifically. And that's because what he did was he made us energy independent.
Right.
We don't have to back up to the window because of energy dependence when we are talking to the extremists and the fanatical religious leaders in Iran. So there's a connectedness between the president's overall philosophy and his ability to speak up and speak on the behalf of those people in Iran that basically want their human rights and their human dignity respected. And he has now gotten the attention of the Iranian leaders.
Now, the president just had this to say about Iran. Take a look at this.
But here's what's been consistent. We killed Soleimani, the #1 terrorist in the world by every account. Bad person, killed a lot of Americans, killed a lot of people. We killed him. And when the Democrats try and defend him, it's a disgrace to our country. They can't do that. And let me tell you, it's not working politically very well for them.
So, Ken, do the 2020 Democrats really want to be perceived as being sympathetic towards Iran, towards a terrorist?
They're so caught up in Trump derangement syndrome.
That's true.
That these folks are siding with or apologizing, for a country that is the leading state sponsor of terrorism, and they are finding excuses for for complaining about the president taking out the terrorist that was at the epicenter of Iran's global terrorism campaign.
Yeah, I think that people for a long time to come, for many years to come, Ken, are going to be studying Trump derangement syndrome because it does lend itself to things like this, which I think most people look at and they say, wait a minute, this is just so far-fetched and so crazy. Sadly, that's where many of them are right now. Do you agree, Ken, that the president putting America first is so important to this country, and he's doing that by delivering on his promise to end America's endless wars? It's something he talked about during the campaign in 2016. I think it's actually coming to fruition now.
And it goes back to what I was saying. The president understands that as he's growing our economy and rebuilding our military, we have the muscle and we have the money to do just about anything. We just can't do everything. So he's brought a command focus to our footprint in global actions. And he's basically said that we, in fact, must build coalitions of the willing around the globe. We just can't do this alone because we just don't have the resources or the human capital that we can expend on it. Right. But what he has not given up is the American leadership position, and he's done that by making sure that by putting America first, he's rebuilt our economy. He's got the flow of capital coming back into our economy. We are creating jobs. We are uplifting the family incomes. But more importantly, we're rebuilding our military, and he's now put together a team that has a coherent strategy for making sure that we leverage not only our money, but our human capital wisely.
Absolutely. Well, Ken, we appreciate everything you do out there. Keep up the great work. You're such an incredible patriot, and we, again, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Laura.
When Donald Trump puts America first, he brings terrorists to justice swiftly and provides a greater chance for peace and prosperity in the Middle East. That's the real news for today. If you'd like to get involved with Team Trump, go to donaldjtrump.com or text Trump to 88022 today and become part of our winning team in 2020. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.